Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. Today is Thursday, January 13th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start off with a development out of Akron where authorities say they have found cremated remains in an abandoned church. State agents have been investigating what they are calling a rogue funeral operator who is now, and they are now faced with challenging connecting the remains of 89 people found abandoned in a vacant Akron church. Agents with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation released their search warrant affidavit, and what this shows is that they searched on Tuesday and found inside the vacant church on East Buckle Avenue in Akron these boxes of remains. They found 89 boxes of remains. Some of them included children. This is part of an ongoing investigation focusing on Shantae Harden. Shantae Harden is 41 years old and is indicted in Lucas County Common Pleas Court on a range of charges. Those charges include engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, records tampering, and multiple counts of abuse of a corpse. Harden operated a funeral business in several counties, in Lucas, Cuyahoga, Summit, and Franklin counties since at least 2019. And the agents were notified of these remains after an Akron resident named Angie Lee Small, who considers herself to be an urban explorer hobbyist, went inside this church, which is owned by the Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church of Akron. Our 3 News Investigates team is on this case, and as we find more information, we will bring that to you on WKYC.com and, of course, on all of our shows. Now, today, this afternoon, the U.S. Supreme Court is stopping the COVID-19 vaccine rule for U.S. large businesses put in place by President Joe Biden. So they've stopped them from enforcing the requirement that employees at large businesses be vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo weekly testing or wear a mask on the job. But at the same time, the court is allowing the administration to proceed with the vaccine mandates for most healthcare workers in the United States. So in this unsigned opinion, which was released today, the court determined that the administration, the Biden administration, overstepped its authority by seeking to impose this Occupational Safety and Health Administration's vaccine or test rule on U.S. businesses with at least 100 employees. More than 80 million people would have been impacted by that rule. Now, in the unsigned opinion, they said OSHA has never before imposed such a mandate, and neither has Congress. But the vaccine mandate that the court will allow to be enforced is the nationwide one covering virtually all healthcare workers in the country. Right now, more than 208 million Americans, which is just less than 63% of the population, are fully vaccinated, and more than 1/3 of those have received booster shots. That's according to the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In Ohio Supreme Court news, yesterday, the Ohio Supreme Court rejected the Republican supermajority state house maps and has ordered the redistricting committee to draw new maps within the next 10 days. So they rejected these newly drawn maps on Wednesday. What these maps did was they retained Republican supermajorities in both chambers of the state legislature, in both the Ohio House and the Ohio Senate. Voting rights advocates said that the lines were unconstitutionally gerrymandered, and the court here in Ohio, the Ohio Supreme Court, agreed with that. So they sent the maps back to the Ohio Redistricting Commission. They have given the Republican-led panel 10 days to take another shot at complying with the provisions. This is all because of a 2015 constitutional amendment requiring an attempt to avoid this partisan gerrymandering, this partisan favoritism in the way that our districts are drawn here in Ohio. The justices also retained jurisdiction over whatever maps the panel comes up with. So again, if there is an issue with these maps, it will come before the court. The maps of voting districts for the Ohio House and the Ohio Senate strongly favored the Republican Party as they were drawn, even though Ohio's political mix is more evenly split. It's 54% Republican and 46% Democratic at this time. Now, back to the latest COVID-19 news. If you have COVID-19 tests at home from a particular company, the FDA is saying stop using these tests. They're warning people that a specific brand of the antigen and antibody tests are presenting a high risk of false results, and they have not been authorized. The tests are the Lucis Laboratories COVID-19 antigen test, nasal and saliva, and also the Lucis Laboratories COVID-19 IgM antibody test. The FDA said they might also be sold under the company name Lucent Diagnostics or Vivera Pharmaceuticals with the trade name Eagle DX. Lots of letters, lots of words there. That's on WKYC.com, so you can take a look at exactly what tests the FDA is warning not to be used to test at home for COVID-19. Again, that's on WKYC.com and the app. Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. In the last 24 hours, ODH has reported 19,262 new cases of COVID-19. Our testing positivity rate right now is 28.8%. So for all COVID-19 tests being done, almost 29% of them are coming back positive. The total number of confirmed deaths related to COVID-19 in Ohio is now 30,435. Right now, there are 6,607 people who are being treated in hospitals related to COVID-19, and out of those people, 1,228 of them are being treated in an intensive care unit. Now, while the cases continue to stay at those steady high numbers, the Summit County Public Health has decided that it will be closing its COVID-19 drive-through test because there's been a decrease in demand. This is the location at 1077 Gorge Boulevard in Akron. So that operation will only extend through Sunday. As of Monday, they will no longer be open. They will be open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the rest of this weekend. All appointments will be honored. They also say that they do have convenient appointment times available, so if you do need that test, let them know. You can register at the link at WKYC.com. This is for people ages 2 and older. The site will offer PCR tests. Those results will come in 2 to 3 days. Masks are required at the site, by the way, except for the moment when you are getting tested. Now, many Americans have been getting child tax credit checks monthly on the 15th of each month ever since July of last year. This is because the American Rescue Plan, which was passed in March of 2021, increased the annual child tax credit for different age groups, and Americans were able to get those checks in advance rather than waiting to get that tax credit when you filed your 2021 taxes here in just a couple of months. But that expired at the end of the year, and right now it doesn't seem that Congress is in any hurry to extend that at the moment. So it expired at the end of 2021. Now, the increased tax credit and advance payments, there was an extension, a one-year extension to that was included as part of the $2 trillion Build Back Better plan, but no Republican votes in the 50-50 Senate led that to be stalled. It did pass in the House in November, and also with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia announcing he wouldn't vote for the bill, its future is now in limbo. So there has been talk of continuing negotiations with Manchin or trying to pass an extension in a standalone bill, but right now Democrats have been visibly shifting their efforts to passing their sweeping elections and voting rights legislation. We were hearing from President Biden on that recently this week, talking about the filibuster. More information on that and background on that is available on WKYC.com. Now let's turn to the sports world. Fan favorite center Taco Fall has been re-signed to the Cleveland Charge. That happened on Wednesday. He will exclusively play for the Charge now. He could potentially re-sign with the Cavs, but right now he will exclusively be with the Charge. That's after the Cavs waived him earlier this week. Now he's 7'6" and 311 pounds, so he's hard to miss, right? But he had been missing after the Cavs waived him earlier this week. He only played in 26 games over the course of 2 seasons with the Celtics and was a mainstay on the Boston's G League affiliate, the Maine Red Claws, before coming here recently. He signed a 1-year contract with the Cavs that turned into a 2-way deal that allowed him to play for the Charge. The Cavs waived him, and now he is back with the Cleveland Charge. Big fan favorite there, big guy with a big heart. Read more about him on WKYC.com. Now the question remains, with Cleveland hosting the NBA All-Star Weekend coming up here very soon in February, will Cleveland have any representation on that team? And it's possible point guard Darius Garland might be the one to make that happen. You know, when the Cleveland Cavaliers learned that NBA All-Star Weekend would be here, GM Kobe Allman said he would really love to see representation on the team, not just in the arena. So Darius Garland could be the person to make that happen. You know, the Cavs played the Utah Jazz last night, and after that game, Jazz guard Donovan Mitchell, who is a 2-time All-Star himself, said this: Darius Garland deserves to be in the All-Star game. A night like tonight, he didn't shoot well and still had a major impact on the game. You could definitely stamp that. I think you should, and all people should, because what he's doing now is next level. Now, it's unlikely that Garland would be selected as one of the 2 starting backcourt players for the Eastern Conference. That's according to our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod. He could make the All-Star roster as one of 7 reserves. So for more on that, head to WKYC.com. Now, speaking of winning things, I want to tell you all about a little social experiment that I'm doing right now. We had a conversation last week on What's New at the end of my Clicking in Cleveland segment when we were sharing information about the winners of that big Powerball jackpot, a huge jackpot. It was one of the top 10 Powerball jackpot prizes of all time, $632.6 million. And my question to our co-hosts, Jay Crawford and Betsy Kling, was how much do people have to spend in order to win those big prizes, in order to win anything with the Powerball? So it got me thinking, and also got me thinking about student loans. And, you know, people have been calling on President Joe Biden to cancel some student loans, as he promised that he would. Started looking at how many people have student loan debt here in the United States, and the estimated federal student loan debt is about $1.59 trillion. That's a lot of money. And I personally, my student loan debt makes up a significant chunk of that, as does many of yours, I'm sure. So I thought to myself, I would really like to do an experiment. I would like to see how much money I could potentially win if I played the Powerball every single week, a modest amount, one ticket for the Wednesday drawing every week, adding on that multiplier, you know, so you can multiply your non-jackpot winnings, hopefully, if there are any. And I would also like to see if it's possible to make any dent in my student loans, which happens to be one of my New Year's resolutions. So that's what I'm doing. So last week was the first drawing that I participated in, and I have to say there were no winnings for me. I did not match a single number, but I am undeterred. So we will be following this along. Follow along with me on WKYC.com. We'll have some check-in pieces in the 5 o'clock What's New show throughout this journey. We'll see how much money you can spend and how much you get back if you consistently play the Powerball lottery for a week, just one ticket with that multiplier. So $3 a week, $156 investment. We'll see how that works out for me and if it can be an effective strategy to potentially pay off your student loans. If you're doing something extreme to pay off your student loans, please let me know, because I feel like there's a lot of us out there who feel like if we don't go to these extremes, it's just not going to be possible for us. Not to end it on a down note, but ending it on the up note that, hey, maybe I'll win the Powerball lottery. We'll see, but you'll follow along for it, and I'll be posting on Twitter and Instagram and all of those places so that you can follow along as well. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Thursday, January 13th. I will be out tomorrow, but I will be back with more 3 News Now for you on Monday. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.